Welcome back to the channel, everybody. As you can see, I'm sitting in the back seat of the 240 today. I'm still not able to get the car physically started. I fixed my crank problem. I'll go over that a little bit later. But I'm still not getting spark or injector pulse. So I'm narrowing it down to it being a faulty ECU. So I actually took that out, sending it back, and I'm getting a new one sent to me that should be here sometime this week. But since I don't have much to physically do on the car, I figured I'd clean up the interior a bit to get it ready to drive around. So you can see I've got my center console ripped up. I ripped up a bunch of that stuff, took the glove box out, and if you take a look at this center console, it's kind of beat to crap, so I ended up picking up a much cleaner one yesterday and just swapped over my armrest lid. But I do have to trim this up just a little bit to make it fit the hydro, and that's it for this. I'll install my glove box, and I'll actually show how to wire an electrical kill switch. So that'll be what I'll go over in today's video, and I'll probably show you how to measure for a drive shaft that I'm going to order today from MazWorks, and hopefully that'll be here within the next week or so as well. So one of the first things I actually checked, I checked the ignition. Ignition switch is fine. There's the constant 12 volt in that, so it wasn't the ignition that was giving it a faulty startup. Then I came over on this end to where my power lines are wired, and I actually had a power wire running from my battery through the center console, goes to the back where it'll go to a distribution block at the top of the firewall, and then it would tee off into the fuse box itself, and then tee off and go outside the car down to the starter. So after doing testing with a voltmeter, I was getting power perfectly all the way up until coming out of the distribution block itself. So I was only getting 1 volt coming out while cranking. So it ended up being that I had a lot of resistance in the actual distribution block that I was using. So it's a little jank at the moment. You can see my power wire laying down on the floor. What I did is I actually extended the wire coming out of the fuse box and ran both the starter wire and the main battery power wire with the fuse box wire all to one. I threw a little solder in it just to hold it together for now, and then just did a shit ton of electrical tape over it just to see if it worked. And that did fix my cranking issue. So my cranking issue is fixed. I do get a nice strong crank now. I build up oil pressure fairly nicely, and that's one problem marked off. So to run my power wire, I've got my to run my kill switch, if that'll zoom in. And of course it's not going to. There we go. So I got the kill switch itself. I'm gonna attempt to put it in the cigarette lighter hole. And all you're doing is putting your 2 power posts on here and just make sure they're not touching in the center. And I've got my power wires pre-made with those on them. So now it's just running them through the actual center console itself, getting it to where it needs to go, and tightening it up. So I was able to file that out to make it a little bit bigger, so the actual switch itself will fit inside of it. So now I'll turn it over and throw my power leads on it and call it a day. Okay. So I've got my power wire ran through the back of the actual center console itself to the switch, and then back out the other side. So all I gotta do is flip it over and make it as good as new. And just to make sure it still works, yeah, you got power with the switch. So clean placement, and it'll serve its purpose. And I'm actually going to measure my drive shaft under the car today, so I can have MazWorks make that for me, and I can send them a link. So for those of you that are going to ever measure your drive shaft, you're going to measure from the actual seal on the transmission all the way down to where your drive shaft meets the actual diff itself. And we're ordered. So I got my interior all back together. Just waiting on my ECU, and hopefully it'll fire up, because if it doesn't, I'm completely at a loss and don't know where to go from there. So, thanks for watching today's video. Was short, sweet, and to the point, and I got something cool done. I did an electric cutoff switch. So, that being said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Hopefully either starting the car or some new interior bits for it. Thanks for watching.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in